Imagine retreating to the mountains for, like, over a millennium. It sounds like the ultimate off-the-grid introvert's dream.
Oh, absolutely. No emails, no traffic, just pure isolation.
Right, just you and nature. But we have to ask you, does completely cutting yourself off from this messy world actually lead to enlightenment? Or is it just, the ultimate hiding place?
That is exactly what we're looking at today.
Yeah, so today's deep dive into the 1,300-year journey of Wanting, who was a Tang Dynasty butterfly spirit, really tries to answer that exact question.
And what makes her account so compelling is that, well, she genuinely thought she had achieved peak spiritual mastery just by staying away from humanity.
Right, but she totally missed the point of what cultivation actually means.
Exactly. I mean, back in her human life in the Tang Dynasty, she basically hated everyone.
She refused to marry, right?
Yeah.
Pushed people away with really biting words and then died at 32.
Yeah, and then as a spirit, she supposedly attaches herself to this giant, rare butterfly and flies off to the deepest, coldest mountains.
Wait, how does a spirit even do that? And, like, why a butterfly?
Well, in the context of these spiritual texts, spirits in the invisible realm, that dimension just outside our physical perception, they often need a physical anchor to interact with the material world.
Oh, I see.
And a butterfly is solitary, it's fragile, and it avoids the filth of the ground. It perfectly mirrored her psychological state.
Because she refused to take human form, right? She viewed human bodies as just utterly disgusting and tainted.
Yes, precisely. So she isolates herself for 1,000 years. But in a lot of ancient texts, that kind of extreme asceticism is actually praised.
Right, the hermit on the mountain is like the classic image of enlightenment. So why is our source diagnosing this as an unhealed trauma response?
That is the crucial distinction here. True asceticism is about letting go of worldly attachments to gain universal wisdom. But Hu Wanting wasn't letting go.
She was running away.
Exactly. In a past life, long before the Tang Dynasty, she suffered terribly through war and abuse. And because she never really processed that trauma, she carried the resentment into her next life.
Wow, so her isolation wasn't spiritual elevation at all.
No, it was a karmic loop, like a skipping record, constantly replaying her pain, but under the guise of remaining pure.
A skipping record. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
She's just trapped in her own echo chamber. So what finally bumps the needle out of the groove?
Well, our sources mention the living Buddha, Jigong, stepping in about a century ago.
And for anyone not familiar, Jigong is a famous figure in Chinese Buddhism. He's often depicted as this quirky monk who uses highly unconventional methods to teach deep truths.
Right, and here he essentially forces her to look down at modern human cultivators.
Like ordinary people actively engaging with a chaotic modern world.
Exactly, to spread spiritual teachings. Jigong points out the fatal flaw in her logic. He asks her, you have cultivated to this high state all alone, but what does it actually mean?
It's like having a PhD, but never sharing your research with anyone.
Perfect analogy. She watches these humans endure profound suffering, sacrificing their comfort, their safety, and even their lives to help others awaken.
And suddenly she realizes her 1,000 years of magical power are just entirely selfish.
They contribute nothing to the universe. True cultivation, as Jigong shows her, isn't about keeping your own hands clean.
It's about getting them dirty to pull others out of the mud.
And that realization completely shatters her worldview, especially regarding the physical body.
Because she used to mock invisible realm spirits who would borrow human bodies to manifest and speak.
Right.
And I'm assuming borrowing here means a spirit temporarily channeling their consciousness through a living person to communicate.
Precisely. In these traditions, spirits lack a physical apparatus to speak or write. They need a willing human medium.
And Hu Wanting used to think this process was pathetic and degrading.
But the irony is, the only reason we have her testimony is because she ended up doing exactly that, borrowing a human body to share her story.
She does a total 180.
Yep.
She goes from seeing the physical body as a filthy trap to realizing it's an incredibly precious tool.
Yes, because you literally cannot fulfill spiritual vows or actively help the physical world without one.
She even expresses immense gratitude to these modern human cultivators, right?
Yeah.
Because their sacrifices created the very environment that allowed her to finally wake up.
It completely redefines the concept of spiritual value. The physical form isn't a prison, it's the ultimate vehicle for compassion.
Without a body, her 1,000 years of magic were just sterile.
But with a body, even a flawed human one, you can actively change the world.
Which really turns the whole introvert's dream we started with on its head. True growth requires compassionately engaging with the chaos, not abandoning it.
It really forces you to evaluate the walls you build in your own life under the guise of self-preservation.
Which brings us to a final thought for you. We see it everywhere today, right? This massive cultural push for self-care, protecting your peace, and cutting out anything toxic.
Right, it's a very popular mindset.
But at what point does hyper-focusing on your own boundaries stop being healthy self-care and start becoming the exact same selfish, stagnant isolation that kept a Tang Dynasty spirit trapped for 1,000 years?